Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and not very intelligent shades of the colour grey. However you may identify, that's fine with us. Today, my very special guest is Meaty-Bunny, and she's meaty and a bunny, apparently. And also she wants to ask me questions about cholesterol and stuff, so we can do that and then maybe get an update if there's time at the end. So, all yours.
Okay, so actually, I looked into it deeply now, and it was so shocking for me that actually, if you look into it deep, it's so unbelievable that people actually think that it causes atherosclerosis and so on. Like when you look at it just, in the basics, it still isn't as obvious. But then if you look deep, you understand, like, what does it have to do with that? But still, I got some questions. Well, I'll firstly say what I understood, and you can correct me if my understanding is correct of what I read and what I educated myself about. So I would like to firstly start with dietary cholesterol, because that's mainly what we will talk about. Actually, even though it's not actually as important, because most of it is synthesized by our body anyway. But so when we eat cholesterol, we consume it. It goes down to the small intestine, and there's the role of lipase that actually detaches the cholesterol ester, because usually cholesterol is connected to fatty acids, so it's not free cholesterol most often. And so there it gets detached, and we got free cholesterol. And then the small intestine is lined with enterocytes that are responsible for the absorption of all kinds of nutrients. And there is the Niemann-Pick C1-like protein, which is basically a receptor that sucks the cholesterol in the enterocyte. And then there is another one, which has a very long name, which I don't remember, but I know it was referred to as ABC G5GH, G5G8 receptor. And that receptor decides if the body needs cholesterol or not. And if it doesn't need it, then it excretes it back to the lumen, and it goes to the stool and to your toilet then. And if it decides that we actually need the cholesterol at the moment, there is the role of HDL or chylomicron that pack the cholesterol and deliver it to the liver. And then that was very shocking in the liver again are these two receptors. So again, like a repetition of, do we actually need it or not? And if we don't need it, it's sent back again to the enterocyte. And if we do need it, then it's back to LDL or VLDL and sent to wherever it's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Very good. You really have looked into this. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. So that I understood it right, because it was kind of confusing sometimes with all these receptors, and
and they all have names that are longer than wheelbarrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it was something with transporter cassette, ATP. Yeah.
No, you've done well. Good. Yep.
So now I got the questions. So firstly, again, it's about dietary cholesterol synthesis and absorption. And the first question is if the body's ability to produce lipase, if it's dictated by genetics or if it's influenced by diet. Because they always say it's genetics, but I'm kind of doubtful about that.
Yeah, okay. The thing with genetics is that every single gene you have in your body has one job and only one job, and that is to encode for the production of a given protein. So you have a gene that encodes for the production of the lipoprotein lipase, I can't even say it. And in many cells in your body, that gene is basically permanently switched off because those cells are not involved in doing that. So they don't, while your gene set is identical in every cell in your body, when cells specialize, many of the genes are turned on. This is what this cell does, and everything else is turned off permanently. We don't need that. Okay. So the cells that are involved in producing that protein have that gene. However, each individual copy of that gene in each individual one of those cells itself can be on or off. on the basis of what the situation is that cell finds itself in. So it has receptors that knows what the chemical situation is surrounding it in the fluid surrounding that cell. And the cells also have means of communicating with each other chemically to tell each other what's going on, so that the body has a way to know what's going on, ergo to control its what they call homeostasis, keeping things where it needs to be. So each individual cell will be getting a specific message saying either make that stuff or don't make that stuff. So yes, it's determined by your genes, but it's determined by your genes interacting with the environment in which those genes are placed at that time. So it's actually both. So anyone that says, no, it's your genes and it's not the situation is wrong. And anyone that says it's the situation and not your genes is also wrong, because it's both. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Okay, then most of cholesterol found in the body does not come from food, as I already said, but it's synthesized by the body.
Yeah.
And is it this way even on diets rich in cholesterol, like that so much of it is synthesized? Because I was thinking if the abundance of dietary cholesterol doesn't reduce the body's cholesterol synthesis, and also from what substances does the body synthesize cholesterol and where is it synthesized? Just more about the synthesis.
Cool. Yep. So the synthesis, the making of cholesterol in the body from, we'll say not from food, but it actually is still. And why do I say that? I say that because there's a metabolic pathway that starts with a base ingredient, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 700 and whatever steps. I'm exaggerating, it's not 700 steps, but there are a lot of steps to get from here to cholesterol. There's a thing that I used to use a lot when I was both a student and when I was working in academia teaching biochemistry. It's a thing called the KEGG pathway, K-E-G-G, which is a published version of all the metabolic processes, all the enzymes, all the ins and outs in a living organism, and you can specialize it for a given species even to, so there's a generalized pathway for all life because it's pretty similar. Or you can say Homo sapiens, humans, poof, and everything that's not human disappears from the chart and you're just left with what's there. So you look through that and you go, right, you start here and you end up with cholesterol. To get from there to cholesterol is 2.5 pages of steps. It's a long way down. What is that base ingredient? It's acetyl coenzyme A, which is the first intermediary of the tricarboxylic acid TCA or Krebs cycle. Where do you get acetyl coenzyme A? From fats, from carbohydrates, from monocarboxylates, from ketones, mostly. So it does still come from food, but it comes from food that's already been broken right down to its base constituent, and then we can build right back up to cholesterol if that's required. If your diet contains sufficient cholesterol and those receptors are switched on, then you'll absorb as much cholesterol as your body needs, and the need to make as much is less. If you consume less, then your body will make more to bring the cholesterol level up to whatever it ought to be now. And to say the healthy level of cholesterol in a human being is X, Y, or Z is ridiculous because it changes. It depends on what the circumstances are.
Yeah, exactly. That's also the atherosclerosis.
So you can change your cholesterol level that is expressed in your blood at any given time overnight, actually, just by changing your diet. Nick Norwitz did it recently by eating an Oreos diet. And he changed his cholesterol by more than you could possibly do it using, for example, a statin. And he did that overnight, and he did that by eating nothing but Oreo cookies.
Yeah.
Does it mean that's a good idea? No. Is it useful to reduce or cause your body to want to reduce its cholesterol level? No. But nonetheless, you can. Right. Good.
So if Niemann-Pick function is impaired, does it actually affect cholesterol levels if most cholesterol is synthesized within the body? Because I heard of that Niemann-Pick loss of function.
Yeah. That would be an example of what we call reductionism, wouldn't it? It would be to say, well, okay, the absorption of cholesterol is definitely, dependent to a large degree on the Niemann-Pick-like mechanism. Ergo, if you knock that mechanism down somehow, you will affect your cholesterol absorption, and that will affect your cholesterol level, forgetting entirely that you are able to make your own. It's the same argument as saying to a person, your brain needs carbohydrates or you'll die, ergo you must eat carbohydrates. No, gluconeogenesis. Same argument. Yeah.
Okay, then the thing with hypo and hyper absorption of cholesterol.
Yep.
Again, like people say, is genetics.
Yep.
And in other words, is the function of Niemann-Pick or the ABCG5GA dictated by genetics, or is it diet, or both?
It's both, again, because every single gene in your body reacts to the environment in which it finds itself right now and changes its function accordingly.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a both.
Yeah. And I was thinking, because the ABCG5GH is like more important because it's the one which dictates wherever the cholesterol is gonna go, if in your toilet or actually in your body.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you have loss of function of that, some people say it's actually good. I heard people saying, yeah, you're the lucky one because you're not gonna absorb cholesterol. But it was funny because it was the same guy who said, yeah, actually, even 90% of cholesterol can be synthesized in your body. And then he says it's actually good that your ABCG5GA doesn't work.
Whoever he is, sounds like one of these people that just likes to make noise.
Yeah.
Aren't I smart? I know everything. I can tell you all about this.
Yeah, but it was funny because that guy actually explains it so well, like all the depth behind it. But then he contradicts himself so much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He still has that idea of that cholesterol is bad, and he basically turns all the science around it. But if he took that out and he opened his mind a bit, he would really be great. Like, I guess he is good in his field. He knows what he's talking about because really explained it well. But then that thing, and if people are uneducated, they don't look into it, they may believe it.
Yeah.
And it was on Jill's channel, that dietitian, that doctor. His name is Jill. He's very funny though.
I know who you mean. Yes. Yeah. Is that who you're talking about? All right, that guy.
Yeah.
Let's clear up about that guy. We're talking about I forget his surname now. I always thought his name was pronounced Gill rather than Jill. But
okay, maybe it's
it
Gill.
Might be Gill. This is a guy who has a PhD in neuroscience, nothing whatever to do with metabolism, neuroscience, and he's also got a medical degree. But he's one of these many clowns online who has a medical degree but has never practiced medicine in his life, not a single day, not one. And on that list, you can add Paul Saladino, never practiced medicine. Dr. Gregor, never practiced medicine. None of these guys have practiced medicine ever.
Yeah.
They just like.
But it was a host,
Right. Okay.
It was a host on his channel.
Anyway, yeah, Gil, right. One of these guys that will reductionistly talk about a mechanism in great depth without understanding how it works at all. It's like looking at a cog out of a gearbox without ever having seen the gearbox and saying, all about the gearbox on the basis of this one cog. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I also made my actually 2 videos on his reaction on his videos. So I know. Like, the most ridiculous one was when he's talking about children and the diet of children. You should force them to eat vegetables because it's good for them for some reason, and tips how to force them doing. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the mere fact that you have to force a child to eat most vegetables should tell you something.
Exactly.
The child has instincts and they're good.
Yeah, I always say that thing that happened to me once, like, it's a long time ago, so I didn't know anything about the diet and so on. I remember my aunt, she's a nurse at the Bart with children. So she's used to being kind of harsh, not letting really her emotions affect her. And she has a grandchild already. And it was a very tiny baby. She was sitting there. And my aunt was making in the microwave the disgusting puke in that glass jar, and it was all around. It looked like vomit. And then she took the spoon and she was forcing it into the baby's neck, and the baby was spitting it out, and she took it back and forced it back again. And then the child started crying, and she was like, hold her. And I'm like,
yeah.
So this is crazy. Yeah, this is really crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so back to that thing. I have one more question in this thing, and then there's more of the transport of cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is if it would. Oh, actually, no, we already answered that in other questions. So no, it's actually already answered.
Gil Carvalho, that's the man's name.
Yeah. Yeah, so the transport of cholesterol.
Yeah.
What's the difference between chylomicron and HDL?
That's the density of it, basically. They're both ApoB100 containing low-density lipoprotein packets. The chylomicron can be thought about as a super-duper low-density lipoprotein because it's much, much bigger than even an LDL.
Yeah, no, it's the biggest lipoprotein.
And it contains the most lipid. It's a way of basically the chylomicron is the first lipoprotein package that the lipids encounter from the intestine, and the sole job really of the chylomicron is to deliver a huge amount of lipid very rapidly to the liver specifically. Whereas the LDL particle that the liver produces is a particle that the cells around the body will absorb, whereas the chylomicron is only really grabbed and used by the liver specifically. It's a way of trafficking a lot of lipid when it comes into your intestine quickly to your liver, where it can then be packaged up usefully to be distributed. It's like getting a pound and breaking it down into $20 baggies. But I think of it that way.
Okay.
I wouldn't know anything about anything of that kind myself, of course. But anyway.
So then the role of HDL is just to transport cholesterol from the anthracite to the liver. And then I was thinking, why the hell is it called good cholesterol then? Just because it is LDL, which is found in the blood when someone suffers from atherosclerosis or whatever. But it's so obvious that HDL is not present because it's not even rolled to be in the bloodstream delivering cholesterol to where it's needed, no?
Right. Okay. So LDL is usually referred to as the bad cholesterol. LDL is thought of as that cholesterol that causes heart disease. Now, there's only several issues with that whole idea. Number one, LDL is not cholesterol.
Yeah, I know.
To say LDL cholesterol is nonsensical because there is no such thing.
It always bums me so much when someone says it. I'm like, oh God, you know a lot about it, right?
As soon as someone says that to me, my immediate thought is, well, you know dick about fuck then, don't you? Because LDL cholesterol, you say, no, it doesn't exist. Well, what we're talking about is that proportion of the cholesterol which is carried by the LDL transporter. Oh, great. And how's that measured in a lab? Well, it's not. It's estimated. Awesome. That's some good sciencing. That's some great medical practice there, isn't it? Let's estimate. Let's guess, pretty much. Well, it's an estimation, not a guess. That's probably a bit unfair, but it's an estimation with an error. So when you get a blood panel, when you get your LDL cholesterol level, that's an estimation. It's not a measurement. It never has been a measurement. Daft. Anyway, so number one, it's not cholesterol. LDL is a lipoprotein transporter of lipids, which includes cholesterol, but is not limited to cholesterol. It also carries, anything that doesn't dissolve readily in water, because your plasma is based on water, The lipids won't dissolve in your plasma. They need to be carried in your plasma by a lipoprotein that will package them up. And that's what these things are, basically. So it's a lipoprotein. Secondly, there is no evidence extant anywhere in the literature that any of the lipoproteins, any class of lipoproteins, any sub-fraction of any class of lipoproteins, or any of the specific lipoproteins themselves, i.e. ApoB100 or any of them, are causal in any disease process of any kind. In fact, if you apply basic common sense and you apply a deterministic model to cause and effect determination, you can eliminate any possibility that those lipoproteins are involved causally in heart disease. It is impossible. It's wrong. It's a theology. It's an idea that's put forward by people who can make a lot of money by selling drugs that lower your cholesterol.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I also like the analogy of how you said that it's like watching TV and seeing, fire somewhere, and then these firemen are going there, and you say, again, these are there. And then you think it's the firemen who made it.
So clearly what we need to do to deal with the scourge of forest fires is to ban all firemen, because they're always there at fires, aren't they? They must be the cause of it.
Yeah.
Or you can say, well, if you get data on the sale of ice creams at Miami Beach on any summer's afternoon, and the number of people that report they got sunburned at Miami Beach that afternoon, you might suspect that the cause of sunburn is ice cream, mightn't you?
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
I know. I also give this analogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or indeed, here's another one for you. Every time there is a release of a movie starring Nicolas Cage, there is an upward spike of drownings in swimming pools, it seems. Ergo, it seems that the way to stop people drowning in swimming pools is to stop letting Nicolas Cage release movies. I'd be for that myself, but not because it will have any effect on drownings in swimming pools.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can go on all day about the spurious correlation thing.
I wanted to ask you, so because I really didn't understand what actually is the difference between LDL and HDL. From what I understood, HDL delivers from the enterocyte to the liver, and LDL or VLDL, whatever, delivers it from the liver to the goal destination.
Right. Yes. Okay. So you pretty much covered it there, that the low-density lipoproteins are the ones that take lipids from the liver out to the tissues.
Mm-hmm.
They have a specific protein, ApoB100, which encodes for the fact that the enterocytes will bind, grab those packets, open them up, and deliver the lipids into those cells for use. The HDL has a different protein, a different tag. It is identified by the body as a different class of lipoprotein. It's called HDL because they're smaller and have a higher density of protein to lipid. So high density in terms of lipoproteins means a smaller packet.
Mm-hmm.
Low density means a bigger one. Chylomicrons are bigger again, for example. And chylomicrons and LDL all have the ApoB100 protein, whereas HDL has a different protein. The role of the HDL is to take remnants that aren't used of different lipids back to the liver for recycling.
Okay.
That's the only difference. Well, the differences are the size and density of the particle and the protein that identifies it, so that the liver knows, I need to grab this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why they say that the HDL cleans up the cholesterol.
Yeah, which is a parsimonious description at best. I can understand where they've formulated that from, and it is in line with their theology based on the money, but it's not really an apt description. It's just a direction of trafficking. And so why would delivering lipids to your cells be bad? Okay. Whereas taking them back the other way is good.
Yeah, I know. That's what we also did on the course. I told you I was attending, and it was always HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and the good one and the bad one. So yeah.
Did you challenge that?
Well,
Or
no,
did you
I
sit
just
there
gave
quietly
up.
like a
I
good
gave
girl?
up anymore. Yeah, I gave up anymore because I wanted to really get the certificate, so I kind of sold my soul there. And I remember I argued with that woman about one thing, because when she did that oral exam with me, because there was a part, like oral part, and I was supposed to make a meal plan, and I made it low carb though, and then she was like, but like, you think low carb is the only way? And I was like, well, yeah, I think it's best for most humans. And she was like, no, but like, you cannot say that. And then I said, I don't know, we just started talking about that, and I said that glucose is actually toxic to the tissues, blah blah blah. And she said, what? So there was no way in it anyway, because I remember I told one of the guys that the thing about calories, and he was like, well, yeah, actually, but it's still a good thing to use. I'm like, okay.
Yes, I agree. I was wrong. You were completely right, but nonetheless, I'm still going to say the same thing, and so should you, because that's what good little boys and girls do.
Yeah, exactly. So
good little puppets.
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm actually thinking of getting like a ketogenic diet certificate, because I'm afraid they'll take it away from me that once they find out I'm not practicing what they told me to practice. But who knows?
Yeah. It's a very real thought process. It's a very real problem for people that are working under a given certification, that their certificating body will turn around and get the shits with you because you have a mind and the ability to think for yourself. Because the last thing that people who certify people to give nutritional advice, the last thing they want is for you to be thinking about what you're saying to people. What they want you doing is arrogantly, officiously, and confidently claiming that the sky is pink, the grass is green, and chocolate fish can swim.
Yeah.
That's what they want you to do.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Anyway, there it is.
Then, but I actually remember. So, well, you said in one of your videos that actually the amount of cholesterol in the atherosclerotic plaques is like 0.1%. And then you said that most of it is actually the tissues, like the dead tissues,
scar
that
tissue,
create the plaque. Yeah. And what's the rest, or is there something significant?
It's 95% scar tissue.
Okay.
And 0.1% cholesterol, give or take, and other immune cells at various stages of their life cycles. Bit of water.
Okay, so nothing more significant.
Not really, no. It's just bits and bobs of things and stuff. Nothing in there that you would think, well, that's, I guess the point of all of that is when people say cholesterol-rich atherosclerotic lesions, oh, really? 0.1%. That's cholesterol-rich, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and it's so obvious that cholesterol has to be there when the tissues are damaged, the cells are damaged, so you have to repair them, and 50% of the cytoplasm is cholesterol. Like it just makes so much sense.
Yep.
Okay, and then there is like a thing with phytosterols, because some people even decide to supplement phytosterols because they basically compete with cholesterol for the absorption, even though they shouldn't be absorbed.
That's right.
But if they are absorbed, so you have some issues with the Niemann-Pick or the ABCG5GA. Because I know they're toxic, they do harm in the body. What actually do they do?
Well, I guess anything that outcompetes the receptor and transporter for native animal-based cholesterol means that there is a lowered ability to absorb and transport that. that would require your body to produce more cholesterol in the normal course of events. However, given that those receptors are absorbing something that it believes to be cholesterol, because it's similar, that message may not be being received. And so the actual level of cholesterol can drop.
Mhm.
What you will find time and time again is that a person who says, I'm on a plant-based diet, and look, my cholesterol went down, isn't that great? That's why. And the answer is no, it's not
Okay.
great. Not great at all, in fact. It's contraindicated. It's a bad thing. Your cholesterol should not be forced downwards by fooling your body by feeding it
Yeah.
things that are not foods for a human being, like,
Mhm.
cholesterol analogues from the plant kingdom, phytosterols. No, not a good thing.
Yeah, okay. And then I have last thing about this topic, and that's because I heard that actually the microflora, the bacteria there, have the ability to put the cholesterol in a reaction and change it into a group of molecules called stanol, so that it will be like cholestanol. And like, why would they do it? Why would the bacteria do it? And um if it means that by eating a lot of cholesterol, we could theoretically train them to be able to do it more, so it's easier for the body to excrete unused cholesterol, or
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, bacteria that live in our colons do not have a mind, do not have a thought process. They're not doing something for a reason other than that's the relationship that has evolved over deep time with us. So what the needs of those bacteria are is they need somewhere warm, moist, and safe to live. They need food to be delivered to them right to the doorstep. And they need to not be so injurious to their host as to kill their host. So as long as they're doing all of those things, fine. So if you have a preponderance of that kind of bacteria in your gut that do break down cholesterol to a slightly different thing that then becomes excretable because it can't be used, are they helping us? No. Are they hindering us hugely? Perhaps not, because maybe under those circumstances, the body goes, right, I need to make more of my own cholesterol. We can do that from acetyl coenzyme A right up at the top here.
okay, so it like doesn't matter. And why is the bacteria even there?
Well, why is the bacteria there? Well, it's because of what we call the anthropic principle, I suppose, at the end of the day, which means the situation that exists, that we find ourselves in, our objective reality, is what it is because it could not possibly be anything else. We've evolved as a species over, it seems, a very, very long time, as have those bacteria that have decided that they will colonize our enteric system and live there with us. So it's a partnership that's existed for a very, very long time. But I guess it's a bit like the EU, where it's not necessarily good for anybody, but it's thought to be good for everybody. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, I get it.
That just is the answer. That, I mean, I know that's might be perceived as well, he's not even answering the question. Well, I really am. The question is, absolutely everything that is objectively real in our universe is that way because it could not be any other way. It's called the anthropic principle. Why are we born? Well, because that was always going to happen. Why do we die? Same answer. Is anything in the middle of any sense or use to anybody? Same answer. Who knows? It just is. Let's get on with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you about two more things that are not really connected to cholesterol, though.
Please, yeah.
Firstly, I was thinking of how they always find the old bones from whatever prehistorical time, and they say, "Oh yeah, that guy was 35 years old when he died."
Right.
How do they because I was thinking maybe they compared it with the bones nowadays.
Yeah.
And so they assume it was like the person was like from the bones of 35 years old now, but actually he could be, I don't know, 50 years old, you know?
Or 70 or 502.
Yeah.
Love the way you're thinking. Absolutely right. That's exactly what they do. They say, well, based on the wearing of bones in modern humans, we can estimate that this man, woman, or whatever, was 35 years old at death. Well, how do you know? Were you there? Do you know what rate people aged at? No.
Yeah.
All we can do is imagine, for some ludicrous reason, that a human lifespan now is the longest that it's ever been because of our technology and stuff. Well, no. It may well have been in ancient prehistoric times that people lived for a lot longer. It seems when you talk to comparative anatomists, physiologists, genetic specialists as a whole, and ignore pretty much anyone connected to the allopathic medicinal community or nutrition community, any of those things, any of these modern things, talk to the people that deal with anthropological stuff. They'll tell you that most likely a normal human lifespan, if we just got out of our own stupid way, should be about 150. So why are we only living half of that?
Yeah.
What's going on? Well, there are a lot of things going on that are shortening our lifespans. This actually fills me with hope for the future and alleviates a lot of my destitution about the world and the way people are thinking. When someone of your age can be thinking the way you're thinking and understand the stuff the way you do, that gives me hope for the future. I mean, I'm sure you don't mind me saying, I mean, what, you're 19 years of age? Something like that?
Yeah, no, 18.
Still 18.
Yeah. It's just like my father. He's a very clever man. He's really very intelligent man, but he's so incredibly brainwashed. And I'm so happy I finally made him understand that, look, maybe the diet would help you because there was Alzheimer in my family and I really don't want, like, his dad has Alzheimer. So I really don't want him to get it. Like, I don't want to deal with a person like my dad and now, you know, being completely out of his brain. So I was pushing in and being like, come on, do it. Like, what's stopping you? And like he started kind of, it's more like low carb now, but still a good step for him, even though he's like very, very trustful to the system. And so
okay. Anyway, so not only do you have your head screwed on, but you're also self-effacing and humble, and that's a great thing, and we'll take your hat off. I take my hat off to that. Nonetheless, I still think that, you know, the more young people like yourself who can get this together, the better. And I shall do everything I can to help. Anyway, what's your next question?
I also made my friend carnivore, so
good work.
There is another 18 years old girl like me, so
nice.
And I wanted to ask you one more thing. My mom has an issue. I have been also trying to push her to do the diet.
Okay.
And she has an issue, but I forgot how it was called. It's like a Latin name. It's very rare. It's with immune system, and it's like an eczema. It looks, but it was something with granulare, something like that.
Okay.
And it's basically an immune issue. Whatever you find on the internet is like, you should definitely stop eating meat and you should eat more grains and stuff like that, obviously.
Right. So you should definitely do the exact opposite of that, in fact, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but it was funny because from what I read, it was like, you should eat more grains and more honey, but you shouldn't eat sugar. Like, what is that then? Like, so yeah, it's funny those. And also they were saying you should drink some kinds of herbal teas because they help with that, and lots of I call it vagina talk. So
love it. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I mean, the thing is, almost everything that you come across on the interwebs is wrong. Is false, is nonsense, and will not help with any given condition. All of these kind of autoimmune skin conditions and things are all inflammatory at their root cause, because without an inflammatory process, you cannot have an immune dysfunction. It will not happen. It will not work. It's like they say with fire, the analogy with fire is you need three things for a fire. You need a fuel source, You need oxygen and you need heat. Remove a fuel source or oxygen or heat, the fire goes out. The same is true with autoimmune dysfunctions. You need inflammation. It's one of the 3 required things. Knock inflammation down and you stop the immune dysfunction in its tracks. So what you need to do is live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, for which I've already put a video together where there are 5 health hacks, and it's called 5 health hacks you need to know. And it's the one where I'm doing that so that you can see that there are 5, and also so that I'm showing you the palm of my hand, which makes me trustworthy, I'm told. Good. I would watch that video and apply all 5, not 4 or 3 or 2, all 5 of those health hacks on a daily basis in your mum's situation. And I would suggest that, say, well, how long's a piece of string? But 6 months or so of doing that, she won't know herself. That would that would be what I would do.
Yeah, I really don't believe she'll do it anyway. But
well, if that's the case, you're probably right. Because what I have found in life is that it is also one of those things that seems to be an objective reality. That is, the thing that you think and believe most strongly is the thing that will manifest in your reality. If you believe I'm no good, you'll be no good. If you believe, oh, my mum will never do that, you're right. Mostly.
Like, I'm really trying to convince her, but it's a bit endless, you know.
Well, yes. And what I have found is that the best way to encourage somebody you love to do something that you think they should do is to do that thing yourself and shut up about it. Because, like, even with my background, my knowledge, my professional experience, my publication history and as a scientist, all of that stuff, do you think I can tell my mum anything? No. No. She still knows better.
Yeah, but it's so bad. It's so sad, you know, like knowing that they're harming themselves.
Absolutely. It's tough sometimes to bite your tongue. But often the best argument is the one you don't provide. Show by example. Just do it.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe when I have children, they'll be so healthy, she'll realize something.
I always find also when people make excuses, it doesn't actually matter what the excuse is or how good it is. The budgie's having a birthday. That'll do. Fine.
Okay.
At the end of the day, a person will only... Okay, it's a very old analogy, but it's the one with horses and water. You can lead the horse to the water. There ain't no way you can make it drink.
Yeah.
Same deal. So, as I say, I think that with these things, the only thing that any person can do is to lead the best, cleanest life they can and to show the best, rudest, most robust health possible. I mean, take one look at yourself in the mirror in terms of, okay, you're 18 years of age, so you should be in your absolute prime, but compare yourself to a bunch of other 18-year-olds.
Yeah. And also to myself, how I looked before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was fat too. And my hair was horrible and so on. Like, I could go on. But the most significant was the weight, probably.
Okay.
Like, I had the good thing because...
Right. I think we've covered it off. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today and cover off?
Well, I just thought of one more thing with this lifestyle thing, how you said it. That, you know, there is one shop that I go to. It's like a big shop and it's cheap. That's why I go there. They have some cheap meat there. And I see these people with the carts, like they are like this. And it's incredible. It's only garbage and it's so expensive, like when they buy so much of it. And you know that I always argue with that. People say, oh, but eating just meat is so expensive. What are you talking about? I eat once, twice a day max. I eat small amount of food. You eat like kilos of food because there is all the snacks and all the potatoes and all that garbage you eat. And then they don't think of all the coffees and the all the muffins they got on the way and so on and so on. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, agreed. All right, as I say, it really, you know, when I am occasionally feeling negative about the world and the way it's going and what people are saying and how they're saying it and stuff, I can think back to young people like yourself who clearly are, doing the right thing, thinking the right way, and hopefully there will be a sea change in society as we go further down the line in years to come. It's people like you that make me feel a great deal better about all of it. So thank you for being who you are and for
Thank you.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that it's a difficult thing, especially at a tender young age, to put yourself out there and be a social media influencer as well. So with that in mind, tell us all your social medias so that all my people can go straight across there and sub immediately and follow you immediately to support what you're doing.
Yeah, I actually use only YouTube now, so that's Meaty-Bunny. Yeah.
All right. Meaty-Bunny. Yes, or Meaty-Bunny if you like. Those are your orders, my Meat Militia. Go and subscribe there, follow, drop a comment, drop a like. Tell Meaty-Bunny how pleased you are with the way she's thinking and what she's saying. And join me next time on the interwebs, because people haven't stopped being wrong, it seems. See you then. Ciao for now.